Morning. So this is the continuation of the earlier lecture, where we will discuss some other different types of tests for the same purpose, unit root testing purpose. So let's look at the problem now. The problem that we are now trying to address here is that when you actually write down, look at this equation, you can just ignore this and you can ignore this. So what you have is delta, this nebula yt is some gamma, which we use as psi, yt minus 1 plus zt. Now what happens that if this after one differencing itself, if there are some serial correlation left out here, uh, this will not work. So this problem is basically, and another thing is there is some variation zt in terms of its variance. So we are trying to address these issues in this particular test. Of course, variation is not addressed here. Here basically address the serial correlation. So the decubicular tests are valid only when the errors are white noise. So you have the white noise here. What can be done when the errors are correlated? So this happens when the autocorrelation is the dependent variable of the regression. So you have autocorrelation over here in this, which is same as that what you're talking about. This is not a white noise. Then when you have autocorrelation here, this will not be a white noise. Okay. So we are trying to address this problem. So addressing this problem is basically you ignore. You add these augmented variables into the model, and that's why this is called the augmented decay flow test or ADF test. So how this is done? These are basically adding the difference. So this particular term will be added to that. So ADF test is a null hypothesis that time series I1 against the alternative is I0. So there is one more difference that what we have here. In the usual test, the Dickey-Fuller test, uh, of course, this difference is not for this. Okay, that's for the next test. Again, under the null hypothesis, you have non-stationarity because this is gamma equal to 0. Gamma is actually 5 minus 1 if you are in an AR1 instead of 5 minus 1. So you have 5 equal to 1 when gamma equal to 0. So the what we have is this, like assuming that the dynamics in the system has an Arma structure. Now here, because this is a Arma structure, because some more correlations have to be included, what we do is that we include these many augmented terms into the system. So that's why it's called augmented decay flow system. Otherwise, it is same as what you have considered, except for this, because we didn't write this, and we just mentioned this at the end, saying that you can have a trend, linear trend, or a constant added to the model. So if you just take this as 0, this is this is not the. This is exactly what we were discussing in the decay flow. So from decay flow to augmented decay flow, the reason is that. This is, of course, it is there in the capable also, even though we did not write it in the beginning, but we said that, okay, you can have such terms at the end. So that's not a difference. So what is the difference is that these terms. So you are augmenting the model with differences, more differences. Now, how many differences that you are adding? So you may add p differences, 1 to p minus 1 differences that you are adding. And what is required is that you need to actually compute these quantities while doing this regression. So P has to be fixed. So there is a need to identify what is the appropriate P so that all serial correlation have been accounted for. Because if you take large P, there is a problem with you are actually going for more number of terms, so more errors, more constants will be estimated, more errors into the model, etc. If you go for less of them, what happens that serial correlation is not accounted for, so it will affect the test statistics. So either appropriate identification of P is also very important thing in this case. So here, so the P is the lag difference terms, delta yt minus j, used to approximate Arma structure of the errors. And the value of P is set to that error serially correlated. Testing for unit root. This is Sorry. So the testing for unit root is same as testing for gamma equal to 0. The hypothesis that we test is gamma equal to 0 versus gamma less than 0. Why gamma less than 0? Because gamma, if in the AR1 case, if is gamma is nothing but 5 minus 1. And if against alternate hypothesis is that it is stationary. In null hypothesis that it is non-stationary, 5 equal to 1. Alternate hypothesis we take 5 less than 1, which means that 5 minus 1 is gamma, so gamma less than 0. Okay, so that's what it is. And the usual test statistics is the same. I mean, the LDF test statistics is same as the Dickey-Fuller test statistics, which is the T statistics. We denote it by this because T statistics in the sense that this is a kind of regression equation, and you are estimating this coefficient. You test for gamma equal to 0, which is gamma hat divided by standard error of gamma hat. The beauty here is again the same distribution that you are going to get in this case. Of course, the distribution theory is going to depend on what you consider here that I already mentioned in my lecture 1. So lecture 1 is fully demonstrated without this term, and at the end I mentioned that you can have two different formulations here. So here I am just writing it as a general one, so you can take in any one of the three without anything, just constant or linear trend. So, but with all these things, the distribution, asymptotic distribution is going to be slightly different. Distribution is going to be different, but it is not going to depend on the parameter, the beta. That's the beauty of it. Okay. So let's look at this particular one. So what you have is, this is the test statistic that we use, and the augmented Dickey-Fuller test is the asymptotic distribution is same that what we use in the case of Dickey-Fuller test also. So that's what ADF. The value of P, now mostly we use ADF actually. Dickey-Fuller test is not very much used. We use ADF because there can be serial correlation and more terms can be involved here. And of course, while using the software, it will automatically identify a P and it does all the job for you. So you don't have to do anything. You simply give the command ADF dot test, okay, of the series. Now, what it does is that, so that is one of the job that needs to be done. So the value of P has to be chosen carefully because if it is too small, then the remaining serial correlation will be present in the errors and that will bias the test. And if it is too large, then what happens, the power of the test will suffer. So this particular paper by Ng and Perron, 1995, suggested some kind of data-dependent approach for the selection of P. We are not going to the details. If somebody is doing some research, they can get into the details. So basically, while the calculations of obtaining the asymptotic distribution changes for different choice of things, the basic mechanism remains the same, and you can use the asymptotic distribution of the Dickey-Fuller ADF test that is available. The same distribution can be used here also. Another test that we use is suggested by Phillips Perron. It's called PP test. Now, PP test is also, now PP doesn't go for this P lag differences because it doesn't change that, but still continue to work with the usual, this minus 1 has to be YT minus 1 here. This has to be corrected. So this continue to be, YT minus, pi YT minus 1 plus 80. It is not minus 1 here. It's here. And so this is the usual Dickey-Fuller format, not ADF format. So everything is very similar to Dickey-Fuller setup. Now the difference here, what they do is that you get the test statistics, and the test statistics you adjust for some bias, and you can, even that adjustment doesn't really make changes in the asymptotic distribution. So you can use the asymptotic distribution same as, see, you remember that some of the test statistics you can multiply by n divided by n minus 1. So in the asymptotic n by n minus 1 goes to 1. But the calculation of the statistics make a small change in the value of the test statistics. So something similar, it is not n and minus 1, but some quantity is being multiplied and divided or something like that is being done. Now, we are not going to the details of the derivation because that requires some kind of spectral analysis, what quantity that you use, which is beyond the scope of this. But one can use this particular test for stationarity different. So even though I haven't really stated the test statistics here, so it is like test statistics. It is something like this, but you will have a factor. That factor is a little complex, and if I start explaining, then you need to have some more details. So that's why we have avoided that. Hypothesis is same. Under the null hypothesis, you have I1. Under the alternate hypothesis, you have I0. So that means under the null hypothesis, you have non-stationary model phi equal to 1, which is same as this pi equal to 0 that you are testing. And then the alternate hypothesis is to be less than 0. So the PPT test correct any serial correlation by directly modifying the test statistics, not by adding augmented terms. So that is the main difference between PP and ADF. So under H0, PP test has the same distribution that of the ADF test. So asymptotic distribution is same. The test usually gives the same conclusion. Mostly it gives the same conclusion. It won't change much. But the calculation of the test is a bit more complex, and PPT tests are robust to general forms of heteroscedasticity in the error as opposed to ADF test. Now, ADF test, as I told you, will not allow heteroscedasticity here. But in the case of PP test, because we are adjusting that, even if this is heteroscedastic, it is not going to make any change in the test statistics or theory because that's the way the test is constructed. So it is robust to the general form of heteroscedasticity in terms of ZT as opposed to the ADF test. Now, PPT test is the user does not have to specify. One advantage of PPT test is that there is no P involved because you are still working with AR1 kind of setup. This is, of course, I told you, depending on whether you want to have a constant or a linear trend or without anything, this is zero. So that's the general term that is written here, which is there in the ADF also. Now comes so in both Dickey-Fuller, ADF and PP, under the null hypothesis, the series is non-stationary, and under the alternate hypothesis, the series is stationary. Now, this is actually a drawback because that's where what is the main drawback that what we have is when you start testing, and if your phi is very close to 1, say suppose phi is 0.95, and then you are testing phi equal to 1 against phi not equal to phi less than 1, phi greater than 1, anyway I am not interested. Okay. Now what happens that this test that you are considering ADF test or PP test, this doesn't have much of power. In the sense, it will not distinguish between phi equal to 1 and phi equal to 0.95. It will distinguish, but the power will be less. Sometimes, the error can be more. Okay, so this is what the power means, the power of the test. So this is what the problems of PP, Dickey-Fuller, ADF as well as PP test. But to overcome this, what is done suggested by KPSS. KPSS stands for Kwiatkowski, Phillips, Schmidt, and Sin. So these four gentlemen, of course, Phillips is part of Phillips Varron test also, same Phillips. These people, and this test is known as KPSS test. They approach the problem in a slightly different way. They say that under null hypothesis, let us take the series to be stationary, and then consider alternate hypothesis, which is non-stationary. And not only that, so your model has to be formulated accordingly. So here, what they did was, formulation is, the model looks more or less similar, but with a change that instead of gamma yt minus 1 or pi yt minus 1 here, they consider yt equal to this kind of thing, where zt is I0. That means you have this is stationary, and this mu t, you consider this kind of random walk. Mu t equal to mu t minus 1 plus ut. Okay, and so that's how you have the non-stationarity. So this series as such is a stationary series, except that it is non-stationary. This is stationary, but the non-stationarity is because of this mu t, where mu t is such that they evolve in this manner. Okay, and then now you are testing the hypothesis that sigma u square equal to 0. Now, when you sigma u square equal to 0, it means that this doesn't involve, it just stay at the starting value because there is no variation. So all mu t's are equal to mu naught, right? Mu1 is equal to mu0, mu2 equal to mu0, mu3 equal to mu0. So a constant. So now you have a constant. This is actually a stationary series because that is I0. So what we have is under the null hypothesis, you have a stationary series, and under the alternate hypothesis, when this is greater than 0, sigma u square greater than 0, when sigma u square greater than 0 means there is an involvement of mu's and with respect to the time, and that is actually a random walk, so that's a non-stationary. So you have testing stationary against non-stationary, whereas in the earlier case always we were testing non-stationary against stationary. So this is one of the difference between APSS test and all other tests. Okay. And then null, of course, there is no augmenting and all here because the model itself is slightly different. So the null hypothesis tend to be stationary. Of course, as I told you, the distribution theory here also plays a role as you change your constant term. So this could be without anything, that means beta 0. It could be a constant. It could be a linear trend here. Okay. So that is formulated accordingly, but you have, this is the test that you are testing. I mean, and these tests are very common. The null hypothesis also implies that the unit moving average root in the Arma representation of delta YD. So we can actually see that uh, when you are basically talking about the null hypothesis, this you are trying to talk about a unit moving average root in the Arma representation of delta YD. Of course, I haven't introduced delta YD here, but you can. Because model is generally introduced like this, but this is an interpretation. You can interpret in that way also. Because this delta YD comes because your mu t is like when you take yd minus t minus 1, then naturally there will be a t minus 1 factor which is coming over here. And that's what exactly sorry, uh, this particular sentence is all about. Well, what is the test statistics? Test statistics remain, it is not the same now because the test statistics is testing for some kind of a variance equal to 0 against that variance greater than 0. So because this is the variance of this is 0 against variance greater than 0. What is the beauty of variance is 0? Variance is 0 means this all concentrated on the same value, which means that this is stationary. And variance greater than 0, this doesn't concentrate and this is non-stationary. And that is the test that we are using. Now, these kind of tests are little problematic because you are testing on the boundary of a parameter space. See, for example, if you have a test for variance, and if your testing variance is equal to 0, the variance parameter is 0 to infinity, 0 closed interval, and if you're testing that that is equal to 0, you won't have the usual expansions available. So you will have a problem. The asymptotic theory will be slightly different. So we don't use the likelihood test, likelihood ratio test for such situation, whereas we use what is called a suggested by Rao, that you look at the score and then look at score means the derivative of the likelihood, and then look at the score test, which is basically d log f by d theta at theta equal to 0, or d log f by d sigma square u at sigma square u equal to 0. This is what called the slope of the likelihood function. D log f means d log L. I mean, that's what. So that test actually turns out to be, actually that need not to be derived. Many a time this has been already derived in this kind of linear models. And in fact, there are tests by Bruce and Pagan. We also derived a couple of tests for this during my PhD. And then there are other tests by Niblom, and there are tests by Nabe and Tanaka, a couple of tests. All looks more or less similar, but testing the heterogeneity, testing the variance is equal to 0, etc. Testing the fragility. In most of the cases, you get because testing variance is same as sort of you start getting testing something like this, which is based on the error square, because the error square represents the sigma square. So here you get this test statistics. KPS has suggested this test statistics, and this test statistic is residual of regression of YT on DT, and this is an estimator of the long run variance of ZT using ZT hat. So this is the test statistic suggested by APSS, and then depending on what form that you take for dt, you have an asymptotic distribution. Of course, even in whatever form, it is not going to depend on the beta. Uh, so beta, you have to estimate beta to get all this because ZTJ. If you want to get ZT hat in this model, you need to have an estimation going through here. Uh, so under the null hypothesis, this converges to a function of Brownian motion, as similar in the case of Dickey-Fuller, but not that function. It is something different. But it doesn't depend on the. That depends on the. Of course, it depends on the particular form of whatever form that you use, but it doesn't depend on the betas. So, as a special case, for example, the KPSs, when you have D is 1, that means the constant term is just 1. You can see that the KPSs converges in distribution to integral 0 1 B1S, where B1S is a Gaussian or Brownian motion process, which you have already learned. You have not learned what is stochastic integral, so I'm not going to much of this thing. But B1S is defined. B1 is not WS. B1 is defined as WS minus SW1. B1 is not a Brownian motion minus infinity to plus infinity. It's a Brownian motion tied down to 0, 1. And if you define B1S as WS minus SW1, this has a name. This is called Brownian bridge. You can see that all these guys are depending on the standard normal distribution. There are no parameters are involved in this entire stuff. So you can use them, you can simulate them very easily, and then the test can be carried out. As you can see how this differ as dt changes. Even though it doesn't depend on the betas, if you change your dt, this is going to change. So if I take beta dt as the vector 1t, which is basically corresponding to a linear trend. So beta naught plus beta 1 t, something like that, if you multiply this with the vector beta. So in such a case, this KPSS converges to this integral 0 to 1 B2S ds, where B2S is also a function of WS, and WS is standard Brownian motion. And the function is different here, which is WS plus S into 2 minus 3S, etc. So these are the contributions of this KPSS guys. And the difference is that here you are testing for stationarity, whereas in the other cases you are testing for non-stationarity. So that's another difference. Now, critical values of this cannot be obtained from any stable assets, so it has to be obtained by simulation methods. So this is what the KPS is test. So I have some problems which we were talking about. ADF and PP tests are severely distorted by their size. When this has an ARMA representation with a large and negative MA component. So this is more negative component you get if you simply take P to be very large. So you have a problem over there. And ADF and PP tests have very low power against I0 when that is close to being I1. This means that when I test phi equal to say 0.98 against that not 0.98, phi equal to 1 against phi less than 1, where now less than 1 is actual value is 0.98. If that is the case, then these tests has some problem. And this theory is discussed by De Jong and Diebold and Roodbush in these papers. Anyway, we are not going into those details. So the power of the test diminishes as more and more terms are added to, because I just mentioned that we are considering only linear term. But if you want to add more and more quadratic term, what happens then you will have to estimate more and more parameters, and accordingly the power of this test reduces. Same alternative test procedures. There are some new test procedures which addresses some of these issues, not all of them, and these are given in these papers. Rothenberg and Stock has a test, and Ng and Perron has another test, which has better power as compared to the test that we were discussing. Now the R commands for this is pretty simple. So execution of these tests is one line. If X is your time series, ADF dot test will give you test statistics, the p-values and everything. You can just decide. Of course, you have to be careful when you use these three, all of them, because the null hypothesis is different. Null hypothesis is not same for this and these two. These two, of course, null hypothesis is same. This null hypothesis is entirely the opposite one, different one. So when you apply them, the interpretation has to be done appropriately. Otherwise, it's pretty simple, the R command. Okay? Thank you.